time we recorded, we had just won Game 6, or lost Game 6 to San Antonio.
Yeah, we did. We were coming back home for Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little
Worried.
Reluctant. But thought for certain that, we were going to go down. I just didn't see the Nuggets beating Popovich in a Game 7,
Luckily,
and we
that
came
Game
out,
7 was here in Denver, or I don't think it would have gone that way.
No, we would have lost. I mean, we built up a big lead, and then we almost blew it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that was, and moving forward, so we, as you all know, we ended up winning that series in 7 games, moved past San Antonio, went on to Portland, and got ourselves into the same situation where,
Game 7.
Game 7.
Here in Denver.
Yeah, here in Denver.
Yeah.
Got up early by 17.
Big lead.
And we blew it.
We did. We blew it.
And and unfortunately, with the way we played basketball in the second half of that Game 7, we weren't able to hold on to that lead. And we ended up losing the game by 6 points, I believe. And that was that. So we got sent home, and now we're sitting here looking at the Western Conference Finals with Golden State and the Portland Trail Blazers. Golden State up 2-0 now. So we'll see where that series takes us. But as far as the Nuggets are concerned, would you say that this season was a success or a failure in your eyes?
That's a tough question, and I think I'm gonna say that it's a little of both. I mean, it's something that the Nuggets need to grow for the future. Mm-hmm. Getting in there, getting some playoff experience. So from that aspect, I'm gonna call it a success because now you just got you guys 14 games of playoff experience.
And not only that, you got 2 Game 7s under your belt,
Right.
You have those tough series where if this happens again next year, you have people like the Joker and Jamal Murray who've been there, who know what they need to do, and they know next year now that even though you're up 17 before the half, doesn't mean you can let off the gas.
You can't.
They should have kept pushing the whole game. And I know that Mike Malone was probably telling them the same thing. But experience is necessary sometimes to figure out, hey...
It is. I mean, it took the Chicago Bulls a couple years to beat Detroit before they went on and won their 6 rings, So, I mean, teams need to grow.
Right.
Portland was there last year, you know. Portland had the experience, so... And they have more players on their team that are more playoff experienced, I mean, the one person we had that with the most playoff experience was Millsap.
Right.
So, I think he had 98, 99 games,
Which is definitely something that helped us move past because you saw his performances in some of those games. He really stepped up and helped us out in some instances. And I think that without Paul Millsap and without that experience, we don't have as much success as we did this year.
Right. No, I agree. Now, to the disappointment side, because like I said, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I'm not disappointed that the Nuggets did not make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
Me and you talked extensively throughout the year, and what playoff experience means, and playoffs become it's a different type of basketball game.
Oh, yeah. And we saw it the first round.
Right.
We saw that tough, nitty-gritty or basketball that you have to play.
You get more into defensive battles,
and it's more physical.
People are trying to slow it down a little, play a little bit more half-court game. Yeah, you still have guys who are just jacking up 3. And that's part of our problem. And that's where we're
I disagree. I disagree.
The last game, we hit 2 3-pointers.
Okay, but that's not because we weren't running the half-court offense.
No. I'm just saying. I said you still got teams jacking up 3s. And
it's working for some teams. Look at Golden State. That's all they do.
But you know what? Golden State has sharpshooters. We don't have those players on our team.
I mean, that's debatable.
Do we have somebody who can go out there and consistently hit 3s like Steph Curry and like Klay Thompson and like Kevin Durant?
Well,
we don't.
We don't know that. We have young players.
We saw that.
We saw a young, inexperienced team trying to find an identity. That's what we saw.
No, but what I'm saying is we don't have that guy when we need somebody to make an outside shot. We don't have that guy that we can go to.
I disagree.
Who is it?
I'm not saying it happened this year or it's going to happen.
Okay, that's what I'm saying right now.
Right now, as of no, we don't have that person.
We don't have that guy.
But as of late into the future, I think that Jamal Murray and even Torrey Craig, Will Barton, those people are going to step up and they're going to be the person.
Dude, I am not sold on Jamal Murray.
Why?
Because the guy is inconsistent.
Oh, my gosh. He's young. He is a young guy who just got into his first 2 playoff series, won a Game 7.
Dude, he's been inconsistent all season, though. You know?
He's young. He's young.
Joker's young.
Yeah, well, Joker also plays a position where you can be. I mean, he's just
no.
We all know that Joker's well above the player that Jamal Murray is going to be. The Joker is someone you build a team around. Jamal Murray is a complement of player.
I mean, I just think that we need to go out and we need to get somebody in free agency. Mm-hmm. That is going to be a constant outside threat. Somebody that when you need a 3-pointer, mm-hmm. you can count on them more times than that they're going to succeed more than. We shot, I believe, 23 or 24 3-point shots in Game 7 against Portland.
Yeah.
We made 2 of them.
Right.
At some point, somebody on that team needs to say, "Stop shooting 3-pointers."
Well, yeah, that was my biggest problem. Get the ball
inside.
And while I was watching this game, I was sitting there watching it with my girlfriend, and I said the same thing. None of those shots were falling. Not mid range. Not not the 3-point.
So drive to the basket, get fouled.
Right. Exactly.
Put pressure on these guys to play, and our defense.
And, well, not only, before we move on to the defense, not only do they need to drive to the basket and get fouls, that helps you get in a rhythm. That helps you get your shooting motion going. And then once you start driving to the basket, they're going to start defending closer to the basket, which usually opens up shooting lanes outside, which is where you can kick the ball out like we do so well, or run in transition with people who can't really guard the 3-point that well.
Right.
It's just... Like we've been saying all year, young team, very inexperienced, didn't know really what to do. And I think in Game 7 against Portland, when Portland finally took the lead, the Nuggets had no idea what to do.
They didn't. They didn't have a leader on the team.
Right. And that's where I have my biggest problem with Paul Millsap, is that he should have pulled his guys aside that were on the floor, or anybody, and said, "Hey, guys, I've been here before. I've been in tough situations. We got to get our heads out of our butts, and we got to pull it out.
Right.
We got to figure out a way to pull this game out, or we're going home."
And it just did not seem like there was a leader out there. Right. And I'm even a little disappointed in Joker. I mean, yeah, you're still young, but you're still the leader of this team.
Yeah.
Playoffs or not, you need to, be grabbing these guys and telling them, "Hey, pull your boots up and let's go."
Right.
We got to go out there. We got to do this. You should not blow a 17-point lead in Game 7 on your court.
Right.
And lose it.
Right. And in my eyes, I've told you all season, I thought the bare minimum, even if we went to the Western Conference Finals and got swept by Golden State, I would have been okay with that. But the fact of the matter is we couldn't make it out of the first 2 rounds.
Right.
And I think, in my eyes, I'm not saying it's a complete disappointment, but I think that these guys are going to come back next year with a chip on their shoulder thinking, we were in a position to go to the Western Conference Finals, and who knows? Maybe they would have, something would have flipped once they got to the Western Conference Finals thinking, hey, I got to play Golden State now, the best team in this league. And, maybe they would have caught fire or something. We never know. That's the great thing about playoff basketball. It's just, to me, I think that not getting there at all kind of was just a disappointment to everybody on the team. And
I do too. And, like I said, I'm not disappointed that they did not make it to the Western Conference Finals, being that this is their first playoff experience. As a fan, yeah, I was upset.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had that game against Portland and we blew it.
Right.
But, looking back at the big picture and you say, I'm not really disappointed in the fact that they didn't get to Game 7.
Right.
To the Western Conference Finals. Just because of how young they are.
Right.
And Portland has so many people that can hit from the outside.
Yeah.
They got Lilliard, they got Collins, they got Hood,
yeah.
McCollum, and we did not have an answer for it. And also our defense at times was just letting guys run right down the middle of the lane.
Right.
Well,
let me ask you this now. So let's say we flip the script and the Nuggets do make it to the Western Conference Finals. With what you've seen from
this year?
Yeah. Now, with what you've seen from
Portland State?
No, from Portland.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Nuggets would be a better equipped team to defend the Golden State Warriors?
Absolutely not.
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, then me and you are on the same page because
Portland had a chance to win Game 2. Portland should have won Game 2.
Yeah.
Portland.
But Steph Curry just caught fire.
Right. And that whole team, Klay Thompson and all those guys, and they stepped up their defense. But that was a game that Portland could have stole and made this a series. Now I think this thing's probably going to end in 5. They may win one at home, but they're not going to win both of them. And they might get swept, But I think the Nuggets would have been 4 and done with Golden State. I just don't. We don't match up.
If we came back to Denver?
Right, because we don't match up well with them.
Right.
We don't have the outside shooters like they have.
And not only just outside shooters, we don't have great perimeter defense anyway.
And with Draymond Green and others like that, look at the way Portland was out rebounding us on their offensive rebounds. In Game 7 they got 21 second chance points.
Right.
You can't give up that many.
And expect to win.
Our guys just. There's some guys that really disappointed me in this playoff stretch.
Right.
Plumlee's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he played well. Barton for the most part was MIA.
Yeah, you want to talk about inconsistent. I think that it was.
Barton was very inconsistent. His defense wasn't there.
Now, was there anybody that you particularly liked in this playoff run that we had?
I like Gary Harris.
Mm-hmm.
When Gary Harris took over the game, I think we really excelled.
Right.
And that's why I don't think there's room on this basketball team for both Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. Because I think Gary Harris is more effective as a point guard. Because he runs that offense and I think he makes them more aggressive. Now, if Jamal Murray's willing to move over to a short shooting guard and not run the point, then, that's different. But you also have...
why can't we do it the other way? Why can't Gary Harris step into the shooting guard's position?
Because I think Gary Harris is a better point guard because he's more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Murray loves to hang out outside the perimeter. There were some games where he got aggressive and he went to the hole. And if he could do that all the time, and maybe he can. Maybe Coach Malone talks to him and says, I need you to change your game.
Right.
We need a guard that's going to drive.
Yeah, and we all know that Jamal Murray. We've seen it in Kentucky. We've seen it when he came
he
into
can
the
do
league.
it, but it's like he wants to stay outside and shoot. And
because that's what the NBA's turned into. It's a shooters league now.
Well, but when you get into playoff basketball, I just don't think it works. Especially when you're struggling from
You don't think it works?
Especially when you're struggling from shooting outside.
Yeah.
If your team's not built like Golden State, where you can sit out there and just nail threes, then you need to change what you do.
Yeah.
And we didn't change.
No. You're right.
Even when we were struggling from 3-point land, we just kept jacking them up.
Yeah.
3-point after 3-point after 3-point. It's like, come on, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Stop shooting the threes.
Well, and
drive it to the hole.
In Game 4 and 5 against Portland, I understand why they were doing that because we were out rebounding them quite obviously.
Right, but there's a point, and if it's working, it's working.
Right.
But if it's not working, you have to change, and that's something this team did not do.
Well, that's the tough part about being in the playoffs is that you have to change things on the fly. You have to be able to adapt to the team that you're playing within 7 games, or you're going to find yourself in the situation the Nuggets did, and they're going to be ending up at home.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's why they are at home and I think a lot of it is being young, you know?
Yeah. Portland switched up the look. They figured out how to win against the Nuggets.
You know?
And they stuck to that game plan. And even though they were down late, they stuck to that game plan. And they ended up coming back and beating us by 5 or 6 points. I can't remember.
Right.
So, in my eyes, I think the Nuggets have a lot to be proud of this year.
Well, they do. We have a lot to look forward to.
It's one of the best seasons we've had in 10 years. You know?
And we have a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Now, with that being said, do you think that there's people who are on this roster this year that don't come back?
I think there are. I mean, without sitting down and really fully evaluating it, I can't say exactly who. I mean, when Michael Porter Jr. is good and healthy and ready to come back, I would.
Well, he's ready to play in the summer league.
Yeah, he's going to play some summer league this year, and it'd be nice to see how he is, how his back's
He better tear up that summer league because those are some scrubs in the summer league. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Mason Plumlee will be back.
You don't think Plum Dog will be back?
I don't know. You know, I mean, maybe because you really need someone like a backup center. Mm-hmm. But maybe we draft a backup center too.
Right.
You know, somebody who can spell the Joker. I mean, what else, in your opinion, do we need on this team? I think we need a true shooting guard.
I think that what we also need is a real power forward. I know Paul Millsap is getting older, and he's getting up there in age. He might be talking about retirement here in the next couple of years or even now. We don't know. It hasn't come out yet. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that we need someone a little more young, youthful, still with that same kind of passion that Paul Millsap plays with. But I think that if we were to go out and make a move with Paul Millsap, we could get a lot more, you know? Especially because I think that he has a few more years left in his tank. You know?
I do too, and I think if Paul Millsap wants to stay on the Nuggets, he needs to renegotiate his contract.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not worth $30 million a year.
No.
You know, he's more of a team.
I didn't think he was worth $30 million when he signed with them.
Well, I didn't either, and I was sort of shocked that the Nuggets gave him that kind of money.
I mean, I get it. He's a veteran. He's a great player.
But you're paying somebody $30 million a year. That's a guy who's supposed to change your team.
That's how much Steph Curry makes a year.
Right.
You know,
that's the kind of guy who's supposed to change your team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take you to the next level.
Right.
And I don't think Paul Millsap has done that.
I mean, he definitely
I'm not say he's bad.
This year. You know?
He did contribute, but he's not the guy who put the team on his back and carried him, mm-hmm. you know? And that's what I think this team is really missing. Mm-hmm. Somebody that's going to put this team on their back. And I was disappointed that Jamal Murray didn't do it.
But you've been saying all year
or Joker.
That's what I'm saying.
One or the two.
You got to blame both of them. If you're going to blame one, you got to blame the other because neither one of them did.
Yeah, one or the two needed to put this
or
team.
Or both. Why not both? You guys are supposed to be the leaders of this team. You run the point and you run the center, you know?
Yeah.
And you guys are the two main components of this offense and the defense. And you're telling me that you guys can't get together at half court or before the game and figure out a way to keep your guys in check, motivated, playing good defense, getting out in transition, shooting the ball well, making smart choices. You got to be a leader. And that's really what it boils down to. And hopefully with the way that things ended this season, Jamal Murray and the Joker can figure out a way to make that happen because in the coming years, we're going to get deeper and deeper into the playoffs, I believe, and that's when we're going to need leadership, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to need some leadership, and I think these two playoff series are really going to help, mm-hmm. you know? So, that said, what do the Nuggets do in free agency this year?
Well, I think that we're still one of the better built teams in the NBA. I think that we have a lot going for us, a lot more than negatives, you know.
No, I agree 100% there. But
I don't think
we can use some help.
Right, definitely. No, I think so. I know that there's been trade rumors flying around about how Klay Thompson could possibly end up here if he decides.
He's going to be a free agent,
right? If he decides that he wants to leave Golden State,
right?
So that's something that I think that if that's really in the cards, the Nuggets should go all out for it because that is a dude you want on your team. That is an underrated point guard in this league who gets outshadowed or has to stand in Steph Curry's shadow. You know?
Yeah, I mean he's not a point guard, but yeah,
he could be.
I don't think so, but I mean he would be a great guy to really give you that outside shooter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let Jamal Murray or Gary Harris, you know, be that person who drives the ball inside and either gets a shot, gets fouled, or you kick it out. You know, because when you bring that ball inside, multiple people are going to collapse on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have open guys.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the ball out to them, and then they have to be able to hit it. Klay Thompson's one of those guys. He'll sit there all night and tear you apart.
Even with someone in his face, either that or the dude is smart enough to know when to swing the ball, too. If he gets the ball on an outlet pass to the three-point line, he'll know that he has a guy to his right or left, and he'll swing the ball.
Right.
You know, and he'll create a better shot for you. And I think that's what we need, too. And I think with what Klay Thompson has to offer, his playoff experience, the way he plays basketball, and the leadership that he could bring to this team, I think that it would be the best option for us. Obviously, that's best case scenario.
Right.
Now,
how about a Kawhi Leonard?
I don't think that we need it. That is a true point guard, right? So why would we bring another point guard?
I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there.
I mean, he is a great defensive point guard, and yes, he can score the basketball, but we already have a point guard who can score the basketball, and if Jamal Murray would just step up his defense, we would basically have an equivalent to Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, all right.
So,
Anthony Davis.
That'd be a nice compliment to
he wants out of New Orleans.
Right, obviously.
He's still under contract. It's going to have to be a trade.
Right.
So you're going to have to give up a lot.
Right.
But the question
and that's my problem, is that he would be a nice compliment to the Joker with two big men on the inside, but he's asking for too much. He basically wanted LA to give up their whole team for him.
Right.
And what do you
think
he's
he didn't. New Orleans did, you know.
Right.
So,
well, either way, I mean, what do you think he's going to, or what are they going to expect when he comes to Denver?
Well, my question is now, I mean, is he even going to want to leave New Orleans now? Because now New Orleans has the number one pick.
Yeah, probably going to go out and get Zion.
Yeah, they're going to get Zion. You know, Zion and Anthony Davis together.
Mm-hmm. And they have Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a very formidable team next year.
Right.
You know, I don't know what the situation is in New Orleans. I don't know why Anthony Davis wants out so bad. Mm-hmm. You know, to the point where...
Well, there's been reports of him not getting along with coaching staff either, too, so...
And if that's the problem, then does the coaching staff change?
I mean, would you rather change the coaching staff or change the person you could possibly build the team around?
I myself personally, I would change the coaching staff.
Me too.
If your superstar or franchise player and the coach are not getting along, I mean, look, LeBron James has done it.
Right.
I mean, LeBron James had that one dude, I can't even remember his name. I think he was out after 5 or 10 games in Cleveland, beginning of the season.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. Luke Walton's not in LA now because of LeBron.
Right.
You know?
Either
certain players can and
Magic Johnson too.
Well, Magic didn't let him go. Magic resigned, so
right.
But I just think that, you know, there's certain players in the league that can dictate who their coach is going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Steph Curry got sick of Steve Kerr, and Steph Curry went to management at Golden State. Who are you going to get rid of? You going to get rid of Steve Kerr, or are you going to get rid of Steph Curry?
See, now that's a tough one because Steve Kerr is a great coach.
Well, Steve Curry also has a great team.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but that dude is also a genius when it comes.
And
to
also, I mean, how much coaching is there really in pro basketball besides substituting?
I mean,
you know,
we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes.
No, so. I mean, in practices and stuff, you're coached, but come game situation,
right?
I mean, how much?
These guys are professionals. They practice, they breathe, eat, and sleep basketball. So
right.
Eventually, there's really no need for a coach. I get it.
And he's the guy, like I said, you know, he's in charge of the substitutions, and call it. And yeah, there's times, when the coach has some impact on a game.
Right.
But for the most part, I think 75% of the time, it's just 5 dudes out there doing what 5 dudes want to do.
Right.
Especially in the NBA.
Yeah.
The NBA has become an all-about-me league.
Right.
And sometimes it's boring to watch, especially with all these three-pointers. I know your young generation, you guys love it, you know? But my generation, we grew up on fundamental basketball.
You're telling me that when someone drops, or when they're 4 or 5 steps behind the 3-point line, and they jack up a 3, and it just makes that crisp.
No, I'm not saying that doesn't get me excited.
Oh man,
But you know what? It's just sort of like the NFL now. The NFL is just gone. It's almost like Arena League football. With the offenses and everything.
Yeah, it's a passing league.
Right. Which, for old people like me, like basketball, we're used to the offenses that, you bring the ball down, you set up, you get your center down in the post, you dump the ball inside to him.
Right.
He tries to work it or he's passing it. Our center spends probably 60% of the game out by the 3-point line.
You think the Joker spends 60% of his time by the 3-point line?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I don't think so. I think we're a pick-and-roll team, and he spends a lot of his time in the lane. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's just, whatever.
But you understand what I'm saying.
No, I get it. The game has changed quite a bit.
It has changed.
And it's a shooter's league now. Yeah. Like you said, it's not fundamental basketball anymore. People either get crossed up, you're shooting the ball. It's fancier. Athletes have developed. Speed, strength.
But it'll be interesting. We got the NBA draft coming up at the end of June. It'll be interesting to see who the Nuggets pick up.
Right. What pick do we have?
I'm not sure if they've finalized. I know they did the lottery pick, but I don't know where Denver's sitting right now. I haven't seen the whole schedule, and I'll look at that before the next podcast, which we will not have next weekend because I'll be out of town. So if Young Buck wants to come over here and do one solo, he can. But for the most part, we'll skip next week. Me and Diana will be back in Nebraska. But before our next podcast after that, I'll make sure that, we look into that, and we know, what order the Nuggets pick and so sort of break down their needs and see who's available out there.
Right.
So, it'll be interesting to see what the Nuggets do this offseason. So your prediction, rest of the playoffs, can anybody touch Golden State?
You're going to think I'm crazy for this, but I actually have the Bucks winning it all. I got the Bucks beating Golden State in 7.
That would be nice. I would like that. I like the Greek Freak.
Yeah, me too. I think he's the next big thing. I think that once LeBron decides to step down, I think he's the next.
Well, ESPN's already anointed Zion Williamson as the next generational player.
Do you blame them? The dude has everything. The dude plays defense. He runs.
He's good.
He's good. He's the best player in the league right now.
In the NBA?
Yeah.
He hasn't even played a game in the NBA. I'm talking about Zion.
Oh,
Williamson.
Zion. I thought you were talking about the
No.
Oh, okay.
ESPN's already anointed Zion Williamson.
Well, he'll be along. He'll
the
be
next
along
generational player. So, but no, the Greek Freak. I like him. He is a complete basketball player.
And he's taken this basically no-name Milwaukee team,
right,
and led them down this playoff path.
What would you think of the Nuggets going after Cantor? Enes Kanter from Portland.
See, I'm not a huge fan of his game anyway. I think that he does a little too much talking and not enough basketball.
But if he was on your team, you wouldn't mind that at all, would you?
No, not really. See? So, it
just
depends on how much he wants to get.
It's like the Tom Brady argument.
Right.
You hate Tom Brady. Right. But if he came to your team, you'd love to.
Right. If he played on the Broncos, there'd be no way I'd ever trash talk.
It's like when Aqib Talib's with the Broncos talking trash to everybody, we liked it.
Right.
He goes somewhere else and talks trash to our players, we don't like it.
Oh, man, when he ripped Michael Crabtree's chain off, I was fired up.
See? So that's just the way we are as fans. When they're on our team, it's okay and we love it.
Right.
But they're on somebody else's team doing it. Oh, look at that guy. He's a jerk, man.
Right. Yeah, no,
I don't think we use the word jerk, you know.
So what about you? Do you think Golden State is or do they defend their championship, or do they fall?
I think they do.
You think so?
I think they just have too much. I think Milwaukee will make it a fun series to watch, but I just think in the end Golden State has too much.
Yeah.
Especially if KD comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to realize Golden State is doing this now without KD. You get KD back, look out.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a big freight train moving down.
So. All right, everybody, that's Nuggets talk here. We don't even have to take breaks. We can just
let's jump right in.
We can jump right in. We're going to talk about the Colorado Avalanche now.
Yeah.
I mean, what'd you think? Disappointment?
No, not disappointed. They're in a completely different scenario than the Nuggets. I think that with the way that they finished the season at number 8, they went in, took down Calgary at number 1.
Yep.
And then they moved on to San Jose, who obviously had way more,
Yeah, you take the number 3 team. You take the 1 team, you get rid of them, and then you take the number 3 seed, and you push them all the way to 7.
Right.
And if we didn't give up 2, I'll just call them fluke goals in the first period.
Right.
I think that's a whole different game, because we came back and we made it a game.
Right.
And
now, similar to the Nuggets, they have a very young team as well.
Very young.
What's that? McKinnon?
We got McKinnon, we got Landeskog, we got Ratinen, and we got Makar as our
there's
forward.
been multiple sources saying that McKinnon's one of the best hockey players that people have seen in years,
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, with a player like that on the ice for you, and as long as he stays at Colorado Avalanche, you guys are going to be successful. I don't see the Colorado Avalanche falling off now.
Oh, I don't either. As long as we get some solid goalie play. If Gruber comes back next year and plays the same way he did down the stretch,
right?
Because there were times throughout the year he struggled, and we're going to have a good backup goalie,
right?
Villardo or whatever his name is, Villardi.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and say.
Yeah, he won't be on the team next year. He's going to be gone, so we need to go. And we have a good draft pick,
right.
So we'll see where we go. I mean, I'm excited about the Avs.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm excited about
that's a team that
really all Denver sports at this moment because the Broncos have a big question mark over their head because we don't know how things are going to turn out with what they've done in the offseason.
Right.
But the Nuggets and the Avs both teams have created such great foundations that it's almost impossible for them to fall off at this point.
Now it's up to management to keep those players together.
Right. Well, and for the Nuggets, that's going to be a little bit harder. I don't know if you heard the news over the weekend, but I believe it's their GM got an offer.
Yeah, Tim Connolly. He didn't get an offer. The Washington Wizards requested permission to talk to him.
Right, which is where he started his internship as a coach.
Right. So, I mean, he may move on. I hope not. I think he's done a lot for this organization.
Huge. That dude's a huge part of this
team.
But,
maybe now Denver, as people will see what we're building here, Denver can attract a top-notch candidate to come in and even help take us to the next level.
And that's what I was talking about with Klay Thompson. I think that with the way that the Nuggets have handled themselves in the last few years, only progressing, getting better. If anyone was going to steer Klay Thompson away from Golden State, it was going to be the Nuggets because, one, he's in the West, so that way he gets to play he's going to play his old team regardless.
Right.
But that way, every year they'll be in the playoffs, and he gets a chance to take down his old team.
Yeah.
So that's but anyway,
it'll be interesting to see what happens to that Golden State team. So
yeah.
But yeah, the Avalanche. I mean, they just have nothing but. Sky's the limit with that team.
Right.
I mean, that team was talented enough if they got the right breaks because they're still a little young. But if they would have got the right breaks, I think they're a team that winning the Stanley Cup would not have been out of the question.
Right.
No,
I think if they would have got past San Jose, they would have got a big ego boost, and it would have just pushed them farther into their competitive spirit, and they would have got past just about anybody, honestly. Because to take down the 1 and 3 seed while you're at number 8 is not easy.
No, it's not.
So, like I said, very hopeful for the teams here in Denver. It hasn't been like this for a long time.
No, it hasn't. I mean, it was nice. I mean, I cannot remember the last time that both the Nuggets and the Avalanche were playing in May.
Right.
I don't think it's ever happened, since the Avs moved here.
Right.
That
brings
because I
me
don't
to
think the Nuggets were that good when the Avs first got here and were really good, and then the Avs started falling off. The Nuggets came up when Carmelo was here. But, I would have to look into it. That's just my own recollection. I could be totally wrong. So if anybody's out there, we got Bob Gelchin just joined in.
What's up, Bob?
So, Bob, you may know this question. You and I sort of talked about it. When is the last time, or has it ever happened, that the Avs and the Nuggets were both playing in the month of May? So if you know that answer, Bob, go ahead and text it in to us or comment right there. So,
and that brings me to my next point is that, I do my segment every week for the Mile High Salute.
Right.
Well, for this time period, my Mile High Salute is going to go out to those Pepsi Center employees, working back to back, changing it from hockey to basketball, basketball, hats off to you guys working all your thing. And then on their day off, when there's no playoff games going on, they have an Eric Church concert, of course.
Two nights back to back.
Right. So hats off to your Pepsi Center employees.
I think that Eric Church concert was booked because everybody thought, well, the Nuggets and the Avalanche aren't going to be playing. Right. So that's a safe time to do it. Diana wants to know if ostriches fly.
No, they do not.
Alex says they do not, Diana. So if you want to read...
I don't think so.
If you want to challenge if you want to challenge his answer, then... You go ahead and
like Shaq says, Google it. Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just a great season for both Avs, Nuggets. We got football coming up. The Rockies continue to struggle, I believe.
Rockies are, I think, couple games below 500.
Mm-hmm.
The pitching is not where it was last year.
Right.
The hitting is finally coming around.
But you can't have just one or the other to be a successful baseball
No, you
team.
can't. You have to have consistency. You don't, throughout the season. Through baseball, it's a long season. There's going to be some ups and downs, but you can't have these huge swings.
Right.
The pendulum cannot swing all the way over here and then all the way back over here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Back down here is a little better.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be like that.
And what really irritated me is the other day I read this on ESPN.com, saying that the Rockies had one of the worst defenses in the Major League Baseball. But
this year. And maybe they do statistically. Maybe they're making a lot of errors.
But that can't really all be put onto them. The pitching has to be better. You have to put your defense into winning positions as a pitcher.
Yeah.
So I don't think that saying that this team collectively has one of the worst defenses. I think that the pitching needs to improve. And if those errors still occur while the pitching is getting better, then, our defense is not that good. But at the end of the day, right now, our pitching is what's killing us. I think that's what's shooting us in the foot.
Right.
So hopefully the Rockies can figure it out. Still got plenty of baseball left, not...
Yeah, we do. Myself personally, I just don't think this team has it.
No.
I think last year we overachieved.
Mm-hmm.
I think our pitching staff is still suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Our best pitcher going into the season was a guy in his second season.
Right.
Mm-hmm. John Gray, the guy slid all the way down to, I think, third in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Anderson, who started in the rotation, I think has been booted out of the rotation.
Right.
So.
And now at this point, you kind of have to watch yourself. Not just for this year, but the upcoming years, because as we all know, Nolan Arenado signed a new contract that says, within, I think it's his fifth year, after his fifth year, he can opt out of his contract.
Right.
So if you don't start being a successful baseball team, Nolan Arenado's not going to want to stay here.
Right.
And then we just give that weapon to someone else.
Well, we were just talking about this last night because we were watching and we were talking about Trevor Story. I don't know how long he's going to be here.
Right.
Because we just called up Brendan Rodgers,
mm-hmm.
and Brendan Rodgers is supposed to be our next superstar in the making, and he plays shortstop. So,
right.
And Trevor Story is going to command a lot of money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Rockies may have to move away from him,
mm-hmm.
especially after they paid Arenado the way they did.
Right.
You know, they just can't afford to keep, paying all these players like this. Unfortunately, we're such a small market team. We don't have the revenue of the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers, Mm-hmm. We just don't have that revenue stream that they have.
Which is understandable. It's a small market, like you say, not a huge place, not a baseball town,
Right.
But that's no excuse. At the end of the day, we need playmakers. We need people who are going to play baseball and, win us baseball games, regardless of, how much money they're making. I know that this is a money league like every other league in the...
Yeah, I mean, the players are going to go where the money is.
Right.
You don't find much loyalty anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, some of these older players that have been with teams for, 10 or 15 years and they're just looking to retire,
Right.
They may be more apt to stay. Well, let's say I played for the Cardinals my whole career. I want to stay here and finish it out.
Right.
So.
Speaking of Cardinals, so with all that, Rockies, Avalanche, Nuggets talk out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's
go Broncos.
Denver Broncos, right?
All right.
So, biggest pressing issue in my mind right now, after the draft has been over for, 3 weeks now?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks, yeah.
Still haven't come into contract deals with Chris Harris Jr.
I just actually saw something yesterday and said the talks are really starting to heat up. So,
right.
I mean, in a good way, not a bad way. So, I think they're going to get something resolved. And John Elway told him, hey, we got the draft coming up now. Let us focus on this, and then we'll go ahead and work something out.
And Chris Harris sat there and let it happen.
Right, and John Elway was truthful. He said, just because we talk doesn't mean something's going to happen. Because Chris Harris may come in and just ask for something that's just the Broncos are like, we can't do that.
Well, that's exactly my point. That's exactly what did happen. Chris Harris came in and asked to be paid $15 million a year, which would be the highest paid corner at the age over 30. And so, do you think...
And I don't know where they're at now in the talks.
Right.
But
our highest paid corner on the team, on the roster right now
is 11.
Yeah, it's $11.5 million.
Yeah.
So, in order to justify paying Chris Harris more than that, you would have to be able to pinpoint that he is your best corner or defensive back on the field.
Yeah.
And do you think that is a true statement now that we picked up Kareem Jackson
and Bryce Callahan? I would say it's close.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, Kareem Jackson and Bryce Callahan are a couple years younger than Chris Harris.
My only concern is if there's some players on this team that didn't like the way the T.J. Ward thing went down.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't like the way Aqib Talib went down.
Right.
I
wasn't a fan of that either.
And I'm afraid if you don't sign Chris Harris and he decides to hold out or you decide to trade him,
right?
I think you're increasing the risk of losing that locker room,
uh-huh.
Not trusting management,
right?
And players are then going to want to.
And people are already kind of. I know that people in the locker room have to be talking already with what happened with Vance Joseph. A lot of players in the locker room have the idea that he should have been gone after year one, which I can't disagree with that. But John Elway's not going to get rid of someone that he hired personally after 1 year. Makes him look bad, makes everybody look bad. So with that, there's already a little bit of turmoil in the locker room, I would suspect. And if you let one of your old veteran players like Chris Harris, who has been there when you won a championship, has rode the wave while you guys were on 2 losing seasons, and then you go ahead and just, kind of screw them over like that, or, do whatever you got to do. But at the end of the day, if you don't part ways in a peaceful manner or you don't sign him back, then like you said, I think you lose that locker room.
Yeah, I think you will lose, some players, and when it's time for them to negotiate it or come up with a new contract, they may just not trust the management. They may accept an offer somewhere else. Right. So it's a dangerous game you play, and hopefully they can work out something with Chris Harris, because I think Chris Harris is still a very, very good cornerback. He's not the best in the NFL.
No.
But he's between top 5 and top 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and you want players like that on your team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you figure there's 64 starting cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
And to have one that's in the top 10 of those, you know,
every year after year.
Yeah.
Since he's come into the league, he has not he's not been outside of the top 10.
Right, and I think it just would be in the Broncos' best interest as long as it fits into our salary cap structure. Because that's one thing we have to remember. We have a salary cap that we have to deal with.
Right.
You know.
No, I get it.
You can't pay everybody.
Right.
You know, and some guys are gonna, you know.
But I've been saying this a while ago, and before the draft even started, before all this talk, before Chris Harris, I knew that his contract was coming up. You know, the end of his contract was going to be here before we knew it, and look, here it is.
Yeah.
And we should have paid him a long time ago, I think. I think that because of the fact that we went from being Super Bowl 50 champions, and then 2 years in a row we lost.
Yeah.
We had 2 losing seasons. He had to ride that wave. You know,
Right.
he had to go from being the best team in the league to one of the worst. You know,
Right.
and I think he stuck out with that, and that's where loyalty comes in. But your player's not going to be so much loyal to you if you keep doing stuff like this to him. You know, I think that he was one of the people, him, Von Miller, you know, everybody who was here. You know, I know Von Miller got his payday, and I think that Chris Harris deserved it a long time ago. And I think that now that it's coming down to closer to the season, you know, training camp's coming up, and I think less than 2 months. You know, it's just, I think he should have been paid a long time ago.
Yeah.
The dude is a asset to our team, and he always has been. Future Hall of Famer in my eyes, I think. But, you know, regardless, we got to get the man paid. You know,
We do, you know, but you can't bankrupt the team in the process.
No, I.
So
let me ask you one hypothetical question, and then we'll, you know, wrap things up here, whatever we want to do. So I've heard talks, you know, Patrick Peterson of coming to Denver, you know, or
I
a
don't
possibility.
know. I don't know if we need him now.
So, well, would you take a straight up trade with Chris Harris over Patrick Peterson? Yeah, you also have to remember that Patrick Peterson is suspended for the first 6 games of the season. So,
I don't think I would do that. There would have to be some other incentives thrown in,
right.
you know, to take that risk, and so I don't think I would.
Mm-hmm.
My stance is pay Chris Harris if you can.
Right.
Pay him the max you can.
Mm-hmm.
If that means you can pay the guy $12 or $13 million a year, you pay him $12 or $13 million a year.
Right.
And load his contract up with incentives and get him up to the
Well,
15.
what he's looking for, sources have said that he's looking for, is mostly guaranteed money. Because he is an older guy. He's coming to the end of his career. And he could get injured, you know?
He could, you know, and I think the NFL eventually is going to swing that way, that a lot of these contracts are going to have higher guarantees, you know. Sort of like, I mean, I think eventually we're going to get there. You saw it with Kirk Cousins, you know. I mean, so...
And Aaron Rodgers a couple years ago.
Right. So, I mean, these people get these huge guarantees on their contracts. So, I think eventually the NFL is going to have to go that way too.
Right.
And it's a risk you have to take, you know.
Well, you also have to think that all these athletes are putting their bodies out there for the entertainment.
They are, you know, and I don't blame these guys for trying to get the money they're trying to get.
Right.
They're making these owners billions of dollars, you know.
With jersey sales.
Right. Get
tickets.
Get your share of the pie, because you're not going to be here very long. And guess what? When you're done and you're not the top of your craft anymore, guess what? They're going to throw you out like the garbage.
Right.
They don't care.
I mean, look at Champ Bailey. I mean, he didn't get thrown out like the garbage. But you could tell in his last 2 or 3 seasons he had lost a step, didn't really play. And,
right.
You know, just couldn't really.
Yeah, and he left on his own terms, you know. But yeah, you don't. These players need to think about themselves, their families, you know.
And now, life after football.
Right. Now let's look at it. You're making $15 million a year.
Right.
Come on.
That should be more than enough for your lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you need a contract that's 5 years, $15 million a year, and you know it's $75 million, and it's pretty much fully guaranteed? I mean, yeah, it'd be nice.
Right.
If somebody's going to give me a deal like that, I wouldn't care.
Right.
It's not like I'd say, nah, dude, that's way too much money.
Right.
You know? But where the game is going and how much revenues the game is bringing in, the players want their fair share of it, and I don't blame them.
Right.
You know, they're the ones that have made it possible to have these huge TV deals. I mean, yeah, I know the owners worked them out and everything, but if you weren't putting a good product on the field,
nobody's going to watch
nobody's going to watch it.
Right.
I mean,
look at the Broncos.
Look at
they just had 2 losing seasons, and we're going to be the least televised team in the NFL this year.
Right, nationally.
Right.
I mean, all of our games are broadcast locally.
Right.
But, I mean, look at the AFL. You know?
Fell off in 6 weeks.
Yeah, or AAF, was it?
That?
AAF.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. I
Right.
already forgot about
Right.
it. You know, because...
One, you can't compete with the NFL.
Well, and they weren't trying. I mean, that's why they did opposite season, you know?
Yeah.
But...
You also have to think about...
The product's not that good.
Right.
You know?
You get people who are below pro average, you know?
Right, and there's just so many other options out there for sporting things, you know? There's basketball, there's hockey during that time, you know? You got March Madness going on. You got
the Masters,
you
golf.
Got, you got cricket going on. You got the PBA championships.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot going on.
Right, you know, you just can't mess around and watch
right. So
league football.
I mean, so the NFL, these players put an amazing product out on the field.
Yeah,
you know, and
they're the best athletes in the world,
and they deserve money.
Yeah,
you know, they deserve to be paid. You know, so I don't blame them, you know, because a lot of people say, how much money do you need? Well, I guess as much as you could take. If you went to your employer and your employer said, Alex, we want to pay you $75 million over 5 years, you're not going to say, oh, no way. Would you?
No.
You know, so, I mean, these players, they're just asking for the going rate for their services.
Right.
You know?
And do you think that Chris Harris is asking too much for his going rate?
No, I don't. You know? I mean, well, let me take that back. Maybe he is. Because Chris Harris, 5 years ago, could have been paid like that.
Right, because he was one of the best corners in the NFL.
Chris Harris now, does he deserve $15 million so he's the highest paid cornerback in the NFL?
I mean, look.
I don't think so right now. You pay him. What I would do if I was the Broncos is I would take the top 10 cornerbacks salary-wise in the NFL. I would take those, average them, and say, you know what, this is what we're going to give you.
Right.
You know? I think that's a fair deal where he is right now in his career.
Right, because he sets at that, 10, 5, 10,
right.
Every year.
So you take it, you average it, and maybe you bump it a little bit, but I don't think he's at a point in his career now where he can command $15 million and be the highest paid cornerback in the NFL.
That means that's saying that you're better than Marcus Peters. That's saying that you're better than Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
Some of these top tier corners who are running with the best.
These younger guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking anything away from Chris Harris. He's still good.
Oh, yeah. I said, future Hall of Famer.
I don't want people to take me wrong that I think Chris Harris is no good. He doesn't belong on the team. He's a very good player still, but I just don't think he's top 5 anymore. And if you're not top 5, you can't be paid
and
like
we could
the
be
best.
Completely wrong. Watch him come out this year and have a breakout season.
And if he does, he does.
Right.
I mean,
how likely is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, crazier things have happened in the NFL. Yeah. It's just.
Oh no, Phillies are up 1-0. Diana says.
Hey, thanks for the update.
And we weren't ignoring you. We
answered your question.
We answered your question. Alex said ostriches do not fly.
They definitely do not fly.
So Harper just hit a home run.
So, well, it's been wow. So, oh my goodness.
Man, Alex having some technical difficulties over here.
There we go.
All right, everybody. So
that was a great show today. I think.
Yeah, off the cuff. We just sat down. We didn't plan anything. We just sat down and said, "Let's talk sports." That's what we do here on the SquadCast.
The SquadCast.
SquadCast. There you go.
We also mess up our words quite often, if you didn't know. So,
we're just two dudes in a basement
talk about sports.
Yeah, two dudes pretending to be a dude.
Because I'm a dude.
You're
He's a dude.
We're all
She's a dude. We're all dudes.
Yeah, we're all dudes. Yeah.
So, with that being said, great show today. I had a great time. I love just coming down here and,
Yep, hang out in the basement, talk some sports.
It's nice and cool down here,
That's what we do on the SquadCast. We don't have production meetings. We don't say, hey, we're going to do a rundown and this exactly what we don't script stuff around here.
Nope, right off the dome.
Right out here.
Right off the dome, and if you guys have any suggestions, questions, comments, don't be afraid to leave it on our Slade Sports Squad Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. I know my old man's messing with that Instagram. I don't mess with that stuff, but let him do it. If you have any questions, you can always direct message me or him. Be more than happy to answer your questions. And with that being said, my name's Alex Slade, and I'm going to sign off.
And I'm David Slade, and Alex is going to take us out of here.
I'll see y'all later.
I just like the sound.